And we should be live. Alright everyone, welcome to the live stream. Today we're going to be talking about very powerful Hurricane Maria. Now I think the NHC updating it now to winds of 175 miles per hour. This is the second Category 5 of the Atlantic hurricane season, and it looks like we may have more to come. Here is the current forecast here by the National Hurricane Center. I'll try to get that in full view for you. There you are with the forecast. Things are looking a little bit gnarly right now. Still looking like it's going to be a Category 5. It's going to actually directly strike Puerto Rico now. It looks like as a Category 4 on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. So I guess what the real question is where exactly will it go after this? Is there a United States threat here? And the answer to this is that it's possible, and here's why. So we see this right here. I'm going to drag this up and show you Jose right here real quick. And this is what we see in 5 days' time. We're going to see something like this. So if I can just show you this real quick, we're going to see the steering current bring Jose down south, and as Maria heads up north, this is going to bring on an effect where these are going to start spinning counterclockwise around each other. So basically what this means is that if this is still alive by then, this will slam into New York, this will go out to Bermuda, but if this is still a remnant low and is still trying to rotate around out here, we could see another slam into New York. So it's hard to tell at this point, but we will just have to see. Still, though, a very dangerous situation. Very dangerous situation. Here we are now. OMG. First one here. Please don't get nervous. Okay. That is good to know. I will not get nervous. Okay, so now... Oh. Turn that off. Going out into the Pacific Ocean, we've basically got two dying storms. We've got this system right here, which was once Hurricane Norma, which is basically dead now. And we also got what surprisingly was Major Hurricane Otis. I was super surprised when I did see this, because Hurricane Otis wasn't even expected to become a hurricane. It rapidly intensified, and then it basically died just as fast as it came up. So, very surprising indeed there, but here are the two storms. I'm going to try and turn on satellite, although I have been struggling to get satellite to function properly. So, hopefully that will be fixed here very shortly. If not, though, hopefully I can find another solution. But at this time, it does look like that is the issue that I'm going to have to try and fix. So, once again, here's the forecast, and let's go a little bit deeper into this forecast. So we currently have Maria with winds of 175 miles per hour, pressure 920 hectopascals, and is expected to maintain this Category 5 intensity, slam into Puerto Rico, and we can do a Category 4 as it does so. With it almost being a guaranteed strike on Puerto Rico now, I'm pretty much making it given that this will strike Puerto Rico. Then after that, we're going to see this maintain Category 4 intensity. It'll still be a Category 4 in 48 hours time, and even 3 days out we could see a Category 4. Although then it does say 4 days out we do have a Category 3 weakening to a Category 2 shortly after that. That's what this predicts. It's not a bad prediction. I mean, the Hurricane Center really doesn't fail that often. And then here's Jose. Jose is interesting because, well, it's headed into New York, first of all, so that's a problem. But here's what I see. I see this Category 1 right here. See that? Category 1? Now that's going to go. We can do tropical storm. But it'll maintain that throughout the entire 5 days. Meaning that we'll have a tropical storm and a Category 2. Probably swirling around each other at that time. So that's some pretty crazy stuff there, if you do ask me. You don't see that too often really happening worldwide, and I don't know if we've ever seen it in the Atlantic. If we have, it hasn't been for quite a long time because we've been having these inactive hurricane seasons. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to go and I'm going to show you the satellite imagery of this system because it's just astonishing and something to behold. It really is something to behold and is something that everyone should be watching for. So what I'm going to put up is an enhanced infrared imagery, which basically means that this is going to show how intense the thunderstorms are well, in the clouds. So the black is the most intense that you can really get in a thunderstorm, and then the reds are very intense, the yellows are fairly intense, and the greens are kind of intense. So look at this. Do you see how much black and gray is on there? That's insane. I mean, this puts Matthew to shame from last year. And I'm getting a little bit worried that its appearance is going to put here shortly Irma to shame, which would be very, very, very unfortunate, to say the least, because Irma was a very, very good-looking storm. And if we're seeing something exceeding its appearance, then you're really looking at a nasty system. So, very nasty system coming in here. And just extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just exceptionally dangerous and something that everyone needs to be keeping an eye out on. The system expected to continue towards Puerto Rico. You can actually see it there headed towards Puerto Rico. And, you know, I mean, it's pretty insane. Just how fast these two storms have intensified. And what I think is most insane is that we have 2 Category 5s in one season. And I know that doesn't sound too insane to some of us, but to a lot of you guys, I bet especially, this is pretty insane. We haven't had something like this since the very, very bad 2005 Atlantic hurricane season, if I am not mistaken. It may have been 2007. I'm not exactly sure if Dean and Felix both became Category 5s, but I do know that there were at least 2 Category 5s. I think there were way more than that actually in 2005, which was the same year that Hurricane Katrina struck the U.S. So there you go. That's that. Still trying to get the satellite to work. We'll see how it functions. But it doesn't look like it's functioning too well, unfortunately. Which is a problem. Here's what I can, though, do. So, the full satellite doesn't look like it's going to be functioning. But here is what will be functioning. I know that this will function just fine. So, here we are now. We can actually see Jose in the picture now. So let's actually go a little bit more in depth on Jose, because Jose is the most immediate topic. So if I can turn on radar and everything, here's what we're looking at. We're looking at New York already getting some of Jose. And you know what the surprising thing is? Now that I look at the satellite imagery, doesn't that look surprisingly similar to the thumbnail of my Jose update? Guess why? Because that was a simulated projection. And it looks as if it's correct. Let's see, visible shows nothing. Does infrared show anything? Just water vapor. Infrared. Come on, infrared. Here we are. We'll probably see infrared satellite imagery very shortly here on Jose. But while we wait for that to load, let's just see what the radar has been showing Jose doing over the last few hours. Oh, there's the infrared. But here's what we've been getting over the last few hours or so. As this does load up, here is the loop for you. And there it is. Jose looking like it's rapidly expanding. Still looking like an organized hurricane, though. with an organized center of circulation, and it's surprisingly more organized than I initially thought it would get. So that is some bad news. The good news is it does not look like this is actually going to bring the hurricane conditions we thought it could. This actually does bring some pretty good analogs to Hurricane Isidore, which was at around the same location on September 11th of 2001. It was a very similar looking storm. It's very, very interesting how similar these two storms are. That was not intended to freak anyone out. Those are just some connections I made to the two hurricanes. Isidore, though, was much stronger and could have actually hit New York. This, on the other hand, not looking like it's going to be quite as strong as Isidore was. If I can pull it up, I'll actually get Hurricane Isidore for you of 2001. Maybe it wasn't Isidore, it was something else. It was a different name, it was an I name though. I'm not sure. It started with an I though. I'll pull that up for you though because that is pretty interesting. These hurricanes. Maybe it was Hurricane Aaron. Maybe that was it. Wasn't Iris. Yeah, Aaron. Yeah, there we go. It was not actually that. It was Hurricane Aaron. But very, very impressive hurricane. And you know what? This is a very interesting kind of thing to look at, and it's this picture. Here it was actually. There you go, and you can actually see a flicker there from apparently a collapsing of the Twin Towers or something. But that's besides the point. There was a massive hurricane off the coast of New York. I mean, look at that thing. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, this is really reminding me of that hurricane. So, yeah. I mean, this is a sharp looking storm. This storm not looking so sharp, fortunately. So what about Maria? What is Maria gonna do? Well, it looks like Maria is going to basically impact the United States exceptionally severely. Well, that's a possibility. I guess not to an exceptional severity, but it could do that. And here's why. Here's why this could be an exceptional hurricane to the United States. So if I demonstrate this for you, here's what I'll do. I'm actually just gonna turn off everything. Filter everything off to Maria. But here's what we got. I'll actually just turn off everything. If I go over, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on Futurecast, and I'm going to show you why exactly this could be a problem. So here we are now. That's Jose. This is Maria. So let's watch Maria, because it's pretty certain what Jose is going to do. So I think Maria is the one that we're a little bit more curious about. So if we begin, here it is now, Category 5. And here it is, really organized, slamming into Puerto Rico. And then going up north. So here we are now, seeing the system going up north with now a fair bit of intensity behind it. It looks like it's really strengthening, much stronger than it was actually down here. That's what it's looking like. So yeah, that's where we're really at with it. But if we take a look here at what it's expected to do in the future, you can see they're getting dangerously close to the U.S. And this is why I think we could have some severe impacts. Because what does this remind you of? What does this remind you of? What does this remind you of? Well, you know what? I bet I know what it reminds you of. Because I'm going to pull up what's going on now. Does that look familiar to you? Does that just look the slightest bit familiar to you? Does that look familiar? Yeah, this looks a lot like Jose. But not just Jose, a stronger Jose. A hurricane. A full-fledged Category 2 or 3 hurricane. And this is why I think we could be suffering some dire consequences. Because these models shift all the time. Now, that's a good thing, but also a bad thing. Because this means one of two things. Either it's going to shift it away, or it's going to shift it straight into it. So the U.S. is not out of the woods. I know some people are saying that. In the short term, that's true. But in the long term, that's not so true. You can see on Futurecast here why that is. And so, yeah, that's really just what I wanted to stress to you, is that, you know, something a lot like this could be coming in your general direction, but stronger. So, I mean, you take that the way you want to take it. This is the past 3.5 hours or so of this system's life. And you can see how it is weakening in general. But still, though, this is still a system that they need to be watching out for. The Manchester area needs to definitely still be looking out for this. The center of circulation could go directly over your area. So, again, you need to just watch this carefully and try and be sure that you're staying safe. And so just be sure that there's nothing overly bad going on. Just make sure that you can evacuate as instructed to, because that's going to be very important that you are able to really do what you need to do in order to prepare for the storm. And while this is nothing like Irma or what is right now going on, which is Maria, this is still a very dangerous hurricane and still something that could impact the United States coast. So, I guess now we'll see if I can get the other satellite imagery to function. I'm going to try and get it to function here. So, just a second on that, and hopefully I can get some satellite imagery up here for you of Maria so we can all see what exactly it does look like on the super res satellite imagery, because that would be a very impressive sight to behold. But while we are waiting for that, I guess we can go over the previous two devastating hurricanes. So, first of all, Hurricane Harvey. Seriously one to go in the record books. So, Hurricane Harvey would become a Category 4 on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. I mean, look at it. This is a very intense hurricane, and you can see it clearly there, just how intense this truly is. I mean, look at that. I mean, is that insane to you? Because it is to me. Because that's nuts. You don't see that every day. You just don't. I mean, Harvey still is arguably one of the strongest, well, one of the most dangerous storms to ever hit the United States. I mean, you can see on this visible imagery that it was a very powerful hurricane, an exceptionally powerful hurricane, and that is just really what it was. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. So here's what I guess I could also say in regards to Hurricane Harvey. Here is the 2017 Harvey track, and what I see about this is that we get this tropical storm right here. This tropical depression. Here it is now. Tropical Storm Harvey. Tropical Storm Harvey. We have Harvey in the Atlantic. Um, right here. Tropical Storm Harvey. It weakens down to a depression and dies out completely. No. But it doesn't die out like we think it is. We see it go straight up and strike the Texas coast as a Category 4, which is pretty insane to me at least, because the chances of that happening are pretty low. Sadie Lebrano says, "Hey Thomas." Hey Sadie, how are you doing? Continuing on with this, I don't think that the satellite imagery is wanting to load, so I'll just have to show the satellite imagery on my other stuff. Here though, for those that are new watching, here's Jose right now. Very, very powerful storm at this time at least. And it's Category 1, only a Category 1. It's not something to scoff at though. It's still a very powerful hurricane, and you can see it's just off the coast of New York. So don't underestimate this. This is still a hurricane and can still do rather devastating damage. And can still cause some problems. But going straight to the satellite imagery, here it is. I'm pulling it up as we speak. I'm gonna pull up the visible imagery this time though, because I feel as if that can show you just how beautiful, I guess you could say, the storm does look, because it is a good looking storm, if I do say so myself. The storm, you can see especially at nighttime just how much it's blowing up right before the sun goes down. You can see it go boom and blow up. So that shows that this is undergoing another period of potentially rapid intensification. And for a Category 5 already to be doing that, that's a very scary sign, and something that does need to be a concern. A rather huge concern. Because the problem is that once you get a Category 5, which is already a devastating hurricane, to see them intensify further, you could get something like Typhoon Haiyan back in 2013, which was just devastating and just destroyed nearly the entirety of the Philippines. And it was stronger than any hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean ever. So, I mean, it was obviously not in the Atlantic Ocean, but it was stronger than anyone in the Atlantic. And this could be the one to break that record and become the strongest in the Atlantic ever. It is rapidly intensifying, I can tell, because you can see outflow. This is equatorward, so when you see this going equatorward, that means that this is sucking up energy from the equator and bringing it into its circulation, meaning it's getting very warm and moist air, therefore meaning it is capable of further intensifying. The storm eye is looking